song we learned in Zimbabwe. You are Alpha and Omega. Sing. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. Sing it again. You are give you all the glory. We give you all the glory. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. We give you all the glory. We give you all the glory. We worship you. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. Sing, you are Alpha and Omega. We give you all, we give you all, we give you all, we give you all the glory. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be say it again. We give you all the glory. In this place tonight, we worship you. Our Lord, you are. Come on, one more time, all over this building. Declare it, declare it. We worship you, our Lord. you all.
Do you have an event coming up and need a facility? Well, let me tell you about Atlantic County's newest banquet facility, Beacon Hall, located in the heart of Egg Harbor City, right off the Whitehorse Pike. Beacon Hall is a full-service banquet facility that is 5,000 square feet with an attached parking lot. Book your conferences, book signings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, repasts. No event is too big or too small. You can book your next event by calling us at 609-965-4255 or email us at bookbeaconhall@gmail.com. That's BOOKBEACONHALL @gmail.com. Try Beacon Hall, where we turn moments into cherished memories.
Reliance Medical Group is pleased to announce cosmetic and reconstructive plastic surgery for women of all colors. Having specialized in women's health care for the past 35 years, Reliance now offers cosmetic and reconstructive procedures, including fat transfers, body contouring, earlobe reconstruction, breast reductions, breast reconstructions, lipo, Botox, and fillers. With a bariatric physician now on staff, Reliance now offers life-changing bariatric weight loss surgery. To find out more about Reliance Medical Group's specialty women's healthcare services, you can log on to RelianceMedicalGroup.net, download the Reliance app, or call 1-855-RELIANCE. That's 1-855-RELIANCE.
I've had days that felt like 1,000 years and years that just fly by. I've had times I've been so sure in life and then nothing worked out right. I put my hope in so many things I thought that I would need, but it doesn't mean anything, anything to me. I've been around a crowd of people and felt so all alone. Tried to give up being different so that I could just belong. Some have tried to tell me who I'm supposed to be, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Only you satisfy. Yeah. Only you are the love of my life. Only you. I want no one still. No. Got a whole lot of nothing if I don't got you. When the mirror doesn't match the cover of a magazine, and I'm consumed with all my fears and insecurities,
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is in me. Bless his holy name. Bless his holy name. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. 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 Oh my soul. Bless the Lord, oh bless the Lord, oh my soul. I'm gonna bless him. Bless the Lord, oh bless the Lord, oh my soul. Early in the morning, late at night, yes, oh my soul. Bless the Lord, 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 oh my soul. Bless. I want to tell you a story. I went to the Atlantic City Medical Center to have an echocardiogram. I looked up at the monitor and I said, lady, what are we looking for? She said, it's the aorta artery, the one that pumps the blood through the heart. It's the one that looks like two hands clapped. From that, I got a revelation. Then I understood that there is a worship center on the inside of me. Oh, 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 oh. Bless the Lord. Early in the morning, I'm gonna bless him. Yes, I will. Listen, I want to tell you another story. My cousin Evelyn in New York City also went to have the echocardiogram. When she looked at the monitor, it looked like a woman spinning around, dancing inside her heart. The Bible says out of the mouth of two or three, every word is established. I come to tell you that there's a worship center on the inside of you, and you, and you, and you, and I'm gonna bless him. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Oh, my soul. Bless the Lord. Oh, my soul. Bless the Lord. Oh, my soul. Hallelujah.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together, we're polishing up our act, well. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Atlantic City, the greatest city in America by the ocean. This is Gospel 88.7 FM, sending the gospel, spreading the gospel one song at a time on the Jimmy Whitehead Power Hour, which is the station of the people, the power of the people. And we're going to have us an exciting discussion here with Pitney Village for Life, Derek Brock, entrepreneur extraordinaire, community activist in Atlantic City, a brother to all of us. But we're going to kick it off. Lisa Diane Hall, are you online?
Lisa Diane Hall is online. How are you doing, Jimmy Whitehead? How's
Good.
it going?
Good. Teddy Tache, you online with us?
But of course I'm online. Good
Okay.
afternoon and good evening to Atlantic City.
And good morning. Yes, good morning to Atlantic City, the greatest city in the world. Well, we're going to start off, before we jump into Brother Brock here. The first part, I wanted to give Lisa Diane a few minutes to talk about the extraordinary 40th anniversary celebration we participated in with Radio 1, TV 1 founder, Queen, Wakanda Queen of America, Cathy Hughes. So with that, let me turn it over to you, Lisa Diane Hall. Give us a little overview of Hollywood and D.C. at National Harbor MGM.
Oh, my goodness. James Whitehead, like I said, I'm just going to call you the AC/DC guy because let me tell you, we were at the Urban One Honors, totally VIP, all because of James Whitehead. He's not only connected in Atlantic City, everybody, he's also very, very connected in the Washington, D.C. area. Let me tell you, it was like people were wondering who we were. We were trying to figure out who they were. They were trying to figure out who we were. It was just such an honor to be there with you. Again, thank you, James Whitehead, for having us there.
Talk about Cathy Hughes. Talk about the Queen of the Ball.
The Queen of the Ball, that's what I was getting to.
Yes.
The Queen of the Ball. It was just such an honor to see her celebrate 40 years in media, starting off with that small AM radio station in Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah.
She has just been an icon to everybody, and all of the celebrities were there to celebrate her. I mean, we saw so many people that weren't even on the agenda. We saw Missy Elliott, Anita Baker, Jamie Foxx, Chance the Rapper, Little Kim, Brandy, Wale, Erykah Badu, Erica Benet, Shantae Moore, just so many people. Reverend Al Sharpton spoke a word. Charles Jenkins. It was just beyond measure. I'm still on a Cathy Hughes high to have been able to be a part of that, to watch it all be pieced together, because it was a live broadcast for all of our listeners. We were barred from taking pictures. We were barred from videotaping, because this is an exclusive broadcast that's going to be airing on TV One on Martin Luther King's birthday, January 20th, 2020. So we want everybody to tune in, because 9 times out of 10, you'll see Jimmy Whitehead up there with Jamie Foxx and Missy Elliott and all of the people that were there. He was just like one of the celebrities, and it was just my honor to be there with you, Jimmy Whitehead, and to just see you do your thing and network with your people. It just reminded me of how much of a diverse community leader that you really, really are. I mean, just to see you in action, working with people that you haven't seen in a minute, because you've been in Atlantic City doing your thing, trying to implement change. But to see you do your thing and your action with all of those people, all of those celebrities, and the main thing he was talking about to all of the viewers was Atlantic City and how he could network and bring all of those celebrity contacts and the people that we met at this event, how he could network and bring them all together to Atlantic City to make a difference. So that's what I really admired about watching you in action, James Whitehead, at that event. It was not so much about being there. It was about watching you in action with the people that you know. It wasn't about you. You were there doing your thing, trying to help still other people and trying to see what we could do to make change in Atlantic City and bring a different type of vibe to the island. So it just was a great thing. You can see I'm beyond words. I got to be in the same room with Cathy Hughes, my mentor in media for over 40 years, and to see all the people, to be amongst my peers in media, in radio, and television, to be backstage. I mean, we had VIP access on the purple carpet, not the red carpet. It was the purple carpet. We're just back there like it was no thing. It just was a great experience, one that I'll never forget, and that just to be a part of that whole Cathy Hughes thing, that whole vibe, the 40-year anniversary, and I believe that we'll be a part of the next 40 years moving forward, because she's still committed to urban radio, to serving urban markets, the markets that people choose to ignore, the markets that people feel that don't have any money, that there's no business there. Cathy Hughes is the perfect example to prove to all of those people out there who feel that way that is not correct and that is not so. 40 years later, she has built a million, who knows how much she's worth, but it's over millions of dollars of revenue that she's generated from urban radio. So we just got to commend her for that. Thank you for letting me be a part of that. You're listening to an urban radio station right here at WEHA. We want to commend the Hawks because they're also an urban radio station that's grassroots oriented, just like Cathy Hughes. You know, they don't have to be on the air and continue to be in Atlantic County, but they do. So I also want to commend the Hawks for having WEHA to give us a platform to talk about Cathy Hughes on this day, because it takes a lot to be owner of an urban, minority-owned radio station. You got to go up against a lot of people. You got to go up against a lot of adversity, and it's not an easy chore to do. So I'm just grateful for clients like you who understand the fight and the struggle of urban radio, because clients like you support us and continue to allow us to be on the air. So just thank you, Jamie Whitehead. I know I went off on a long tangent. You know how I get all emotional and stuff. Right. But, you know, if it weren't for WEHA, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have had the platform to even, for Cathy Hughes in her honorable being to even call in to talk to us in the first place. So I just believe everything happens for a reason in the season, and I believe 2020 big things are going to take place. And I just thank you, James Whitehead, because you had 4 tickets to that event, and you didn't have to include me.
Yes, I did. I had to include you, or I could never come back to Atlantic City again. But let me tell you, was Cathy absolutely stunning and fabulous. I mean, here's her 40th anniversary, and she looked like she's 40 years old, and had the red dress on, like that movie, Lady in the Red Dress. And she was always, I love her so much. She's so beautiful. She always wears.
She loves you, James Whitehead.
I love Cathy Hughes. That's my girl.
You immediate access with no question. You didn't even have to blink twice. We were special guests of Cathy Hughes herself. How major is that? How many people can say that?
That's major. That's major.
Yeah, well, we're going to get her up here hopefully in February, because, you know, one of the things she kicked off, Derek, was this program that she calls 4040.
Oh, yeah.
And what she's going to do, she's going to identify 40 youth organizations in America that she's going to donate $40,000 to each one of them.
Oh, wow.
That's $1.6 million of patriotic philanthropy.
That's absolutely.
And, you know, whatever the cause are, we want to see if we can get exclusive marching band in there to try to get some of those grants. See if we can get a Latino group or the Bangladesh Community Association for some of the things they're doing. So, Teddy Taché, do you want to share a little bit of your viewpoint about the 40th anniversary of Cathy Hughes with everybody?
Yes, my sentiments are the same as everyone who's already spoken before. It was truly an amazing time and celebration. You know, in the media, especially when it comes to our people or minorities, you always hear the negative and you don't necessarily hear all the positive. But it was such a good feeling to see everyone have such a camaraderie, and everybody had nice things to say about everyone who was standing. So like Ricky Smiley, he was there, and everybody was complimenting him and like giving him shout outs like the whole night. And just from a comedian to another comedian with Red Fox, and even Chris Tucker as one of the hosts. I mean, it was just a really good show, and it was put together well. So I can't wait to see what the end product looks like, because when you do the live taping, sometimes they have to go back and do certain things, or you might have some of the sound and technical issues. But I can't wait to see what the final product looks like. And when Kathy was on, she actually talked about the young man who opened up with, I think it was Howard University's choir. That was an amazing performance.
Wow.
So I can't wait to see what it looks like and translate on the other side, because that's a song I'm actually looking for it to start airing on the radio. Yeah. Because it was a really powerful song.
Well, when I went down there and I was talking with Jamie Foxx, first of all, he is just such a nice guy, such a humble, wonderful guy, right? And so he and I chatted for about 10 minutes, and sitting next to him was one of my mentors who they did this documentary about called The Godfather of Music, named Clarence Avant. Yeah, you mentioned that. And when I saw Clarence, it was funny. I hadn't seen him since Rebuild LA after the Rodney King riots, when I was running Rebuild LA. And I got the president to give me like $250 million in 2 days to use to help rebuild. Well, Clarence Avant allowed me to use Motown headquarters on Sunset Boulevard as my headquarters for a meeting with the Crips and the Bloods about peace, meeting with the community organizations and the community banks, the black banks, about how do we invest in the community. So it was so good to see Clarence. He's doing great. I don't even know how old he is. He's probably about 40. I'm going to give everybody 40 years old, because, once you get over 40 or 50, you're not supposed to say how old nobody is. But again, Kathy was just so beautiful, and she deserved this. And everybody came for Kathy, because Kathy Hughes has touched so many people's lives, black, white, Asian, Latino. She doesn't care what color you are, but if you are a person of color, that's a priority to her. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And do you know about Kathy Hughes, the legend?
Absolutely. Do I? Yeah. See,
what do you know about Kathy Hughes?
Well, I know she's had the Radio 1 station for many years, and she does so much philanthropy for the community, and with her media company. I mean, she's one of the largest African-American women in media. I mean, she's dominant. She's a force to be reckoned with.
Her and Oprah Winfrey?
I know her and her son opened up
Alfred.
Opened up a casino.
MGM.
Down in Maryland.
Yeah, they part owns at MGM.
Yeah, Maryland Live.
Yeah.
So, yes, I've been following her for years.
She's phenomenal.
Yes.
And something a lot of people don't know, like she got a little place in Maryland where she is next to the bay, the water. Mm-hmm. And she loves to catch crabs.
Oh, yeah.
So if you ever lucky enough to go over her house in the summertime, you're going to be out back on the pier catching fish and catching crabs with Kathy.
I know that's right.
Oh, man, she is just, she's a sister from the neighborhood, not the hood, from the neighborhood.
Wow.
Because you got to keep neighbor in hood.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to be. Absolutely. For family.
Right.
But that's the kind of sister she is, and she would get down with you, or she would get up with you. Whichever way you're going to bring it to her, she's going to bring it back to you just like that.
Absolutely. I can imagine with her.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to take a little cause for the pause, and when we come back, we're going to jump into a discussion with legendary Atlantic City, a brother, Derek Brock, and he has big family here, and he has big plans for the city in the future, so stick with us. We'll be right back in about 60 seconds. Jim White here, Power Hour, Atlantic City, the greatest city in America and in the world. God bless you.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, And where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together. We're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the ain't no stopping us now. We got to do. Ain't no stopping us now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Atlantic City. Teddy Tashe Payton, Lisa Dan Hall, and my brother Derek Brock, Atlantic City. Want to take a minute on the gospel, 88.7 FM, spreading the gospel one song at a time, to thank my sponsors, New Vistas Corporation in Linwood. We're actually in Northfield. Thank Millennium Technologies, and thank U.S. Hard for your sponsorship of our show. We're back on the show with Derek Brock. Derek Brock I've known for a little over 10 years, and he is an incredible man, incredible American entrepreneur, father, husband, family man. Tell us a little background about you, Derek Brock. Introduce yourself to America, because you know Atlantic City is bigger than just this little area we live in. Atlantic City is known all over the world. So introduce yourself to the world, brother.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. You know, I'm honored anytime I get a chance to, spend some time with you, Jimmy Whitehead, the extraordinaire. First of all, I was born and raised in Atlantic City. Started out in the Inlet, and my mother was somewhat like a gypsy mom, so we moved around a lot until we settled down in Pitney Village, which became our mainstay for several years, and grew up in the projects and right down the street from the casinos, and always had big dreams of being in business in Atlantic City, because Atlantic City has always had a history of business, and I've always had a desire to grow up and be able to be a force in my community, a pillar in my community, to create job opportunities, and I'm happy that through my company, Mutual Taxi and Limousine Service, we were able to do that and sustain such a company that's a legacy in Atlantic City. Has been around since 1955, black owned and operated.
Wow.
And so I feel very fortunate to be able to have that opportunity. And as we're moving forward, I'm looking forward to being a part of what's next for Atlantic City.
Thank you. That's interesting. So the limousine company, what does it say the whole name again?
It's Mutual Taxi, Limousine, and Beach Van Service.
And what's the phone number for that company? That's
609. And it's funny, Jimmy, that number has been the same number since 1955, when we only had 4-digit numbers. Before we had the area code and the 3 digits, the number was just 6111.
Really?
Yes. Before, when they had the switchboard operators, the number was just 6111, and then I believe probably in the early 60s or 70s, they went to the 609-345-6111, and that's what actually kept us around for so long, because that number has been so easy to remember.
Wow.
That people that leave Atlantic City and come back, that's the first number they remember.
Now say the whole number again.
They're talking about transportation. That's 609, area code 609-345-6111. Yep, that's Mutual Taxi and Limousine. We're open 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we've been here serving the community, and that's one thing we love about Mutual, is that we've been a community-based business since 1955, and even with the comings and goings of the casino industry, we've managed to be just to stay above water and service the community. And sometimes people don't have the money, and they call us and they don't pay, but we don't always call the cops on them. And sometimes we do, but most times we don't. We just been here for the people.
Extraordinary.
And that's one of the things I'm proud of.
That is
And if I
extraordinary.
could just give
Go
a
ahead, Lisa.
testimony,
Yes.
like I'm one of those people. We did pay you mutual taxi. It's Lisa Diane. If
Hey,
you
Lisa.
remember,
Yes.
you hosted 6 of my girlfriends. You took us to the Awesome TV.
Yes, that was an
model
experience.
search.
Yes, I was fortunate to have all you beautiful women, professional
somewhere
ladies.
in North Jersey that was really far, and we did
Wow.
not feel like driving.
Yes.
And, so we all pitched in our money, and we took mutual taxi and limo, and it was really good.
Yes.
I mean, you were very professional.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
You were very patient with us, even though we, probably exceeded our time limit. He worked with us. He was very professional, and he got us to all. And we had multiple locations. I might add.
We were all over the
Make
place.
it an easy pickup. I had one girlfriend in Atlantic City, another in Cherry Hill, and then I think Philly.
Yeah, we were all
We didn't
over.
go all the way to Philly, but it was definitely an interesting ride. But what I'm saying and all to say that is that his services, he's very accommodating, very professional, and he definitely worked with you. So all the listening
Testimony.
audience out there, you want to
Thank you.
definitely
Thank you.
support this car service if you can, because we want to support our local operated businesses right here in Atlantic County if we can. That's what we're all about.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, mutual taxi and limousine service. Phone number.
609-345-611. And Jimmy, I just want to say one thing for Lisa because
Yes, brother.
I'm happy for her because I know she's a big media person.
LDTV.
Personality, yes, and
Yeah.
she's always constantly pushing it. And for her to have that experience,
Yes.
I'm very happy for her because I know how much that meant to her because she knows what
You
Kathy
know.
Hughes went through,
I'm
and
still
She loves
high.
Kathy
and
Hughes.
for her to
Thank you
have
so
that
much.
experience,
Yes,
it's
yes.
just like I'm just happy for her because I know how important that is for
Yes,
her
sir.
to just be there.
Yes, sir. Well, one of the goals that Lisa and I have is to bring Bill Hawks and Kathy Hughes together to work on some of these philanthropy things like she's doing 40/40,
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this, brother. When you grew up in Pitney Village during the 60s, 70s, etc., and you see the gun violence that's going on in our community today, how does this compare to the times when you grew up in Atlantic City? What do you see going on that was different, and what do you think is needed to make a change in Atlantic City so that we can get rid of some of this violence and this anger of these young folks who we love so much?
Well, Jimmy, if I had to answer to that, I'd be up there with Bill Gates and those guys because
Sure would.
unfortunately, what we're dealing with is a generational problem. And the difference, I would say, from when I grew up, we would handle our business, so to speak, with a...
You and Ray Bethea?
I don't want to say any names.
I
but
love Ray Bethea, man.
we would handle our business in the street, and maybe a week later we'd be making friends with those guys.
Sure.
And that's how we generally handled it. And actually, it was funny that you would mention that about the gun violence, and for myself personally, because I did have a big hand in doing some of the things that weren't good in Atlantic City growing up as a teenager,
Sure.
as a lot of urban teenagers have. And it was when the guns started coming into the play what made me realize that I don't need to be a part of that anymore.
Wow.
So that was one of the reasons why I actually decided to go a different route, because we went from fighting to guns.
When did the gun start to become an issue? What was it before? It was before crack.
Yes, absolutely. It was right around that time, like right before the crack epidemic, the guns started coming to play. And I remember certain incidents when we were out having our partying or whatever, and then for some reason we'd always be fighting these guys and that guy from this part of town, whatever.
Right.
And we had guns drawn on us.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's when
you said it's time to get out of this game. Yeah.
It was like maybe I should start looking for another
Yeah.
lifestyle because this isn't going to work.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was one of the fortunate ones that was able to overcome that lifestyle. And so once I realized that how important it is to try to reach back and bring more people from that, because a lot of times we find ourselves trapped up into that and not realizing that we're into that.
Yes.
Because it becomes like a way of life when you grow up in that environment. So sometimes you don't see yourself doing what you're doing. So I try to be an example of that change for the community, and people that know me know that I was once, doing things that weren't good, and
Right.
they know they see me make that change. So
Bravo,
that's
bravo.
one of the things that I try to
Bravo.
be. I try to be the example for the community. And that's what I like to try to do.
And I think you are an extraordinary example. And I know everybody that knows you loves you, man. Everybody that knows you, well, I don't know the ones that don't love you. Okay, it might be. There's always one or two out
Well,
there. That's
I have
a
a
hater.
say it. I say everybody. I say I know I got lovers and haters, but I got more lovers than haters.
There you go.
'Cause
That's right.
everybody's got both. You know?
And you got a beautiful wife. That's all you care about. Your
Yeah.
wife, your love you.
Yeah,
That's all. That's
absolutely.
it.
That's right.
Let me ask you something. You know, lately here, and we're gonna talk about it, and we'll come back on it hard. There's a group out here, a group of men, and I don't like to say colors, but they're not black, and they started this economic apartheid referendum to try to take the vote away from folks in Atlantic City.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I've been very open about it. That
So
it's
have I.
ridiculous.
Yes.
What is your thoughts on this whole referendum thing? Which is
Well,
just,
it's funny that you would be mentioning this, and the way that you've been taking it on is this almost the same way that I have. It happened by chance because the young lady was going door to door and
wow.
promoting whatever she was trying to promote, and she was given false information. And I called her on it because I had an electrician working on my home, and I was on the way out the house, and him and I were going to, I think, to the hardware store or something. And I turned around and I saw her talking to him, and I looked. I said he was about to sign the document.
Right.
I said, "What are you doing?" He said, I'm about to sign this thing. This girl said she's trying to fix crime. Everybody want to stop crime.
So they lying.
Excuse me, yes. I said, no, that's not what she's doing.
Right.
I said, and see, these people come in
Lying.
saying that they want to make a change,
Right.
but they're doing the same thing that they're trying to say they're getting rid of.
Right. Wow, that's deep.
Say
that again?
I said, the people come in saying they want to make a change, but they're doing the same thing that they're saying that they're trying to get rid of.
Interesting.
And I told the young lady, I didn't want to be disrespectful, but I was just so mad because he was going to sign it, and it just shows me how disinformed our people are,
Right.
and how gullible we are. And this is how they're able to do what they're doing, because they're coming in, giving false information, and then we don't take our time to find out exactly what's going on before we sign it. So that's
Wow.
what they're doing. They're going around giving false information, people signing the documents, and this is how they're able to get it on the referendum.
You know something? This is about the third time I heard somebody telling me that with this petition they've been misleading people. They even been misleading the people who they paying to go out to get stuff to sign. Some people who may not be that educated.
Right.
And that's what is, like you said, we're trying to get rid of that kind of unethical, unaccountable, uncompliant, untransparent type of rubbish in
Right.
Atlantic City.
Right.
And when we come back, we're going to take a pause for the cause for 30 seconds, and we're going to come back and we're going to dive deep into this. And if anybody wants to call in, brother, hand me that number right there for the radio station. Don't turn it on yet, brother. Hold on, Stefan. Yes, the number to call in is 609-641-8870. Is that 10? 70. That needs to be
Say
made
it
better.
again.
609-687. No, 609-641-8870. So that needs to be correct. If I'm reading like this, that's not clear
Everybody
enough.
got that number? Call
So
in
again,
if you have any questions.
609-641-8870. WEHA. We're talking with Derek Brock. We're talking about this economic apartheid referendum that they're trying to pull a sheet over everybody's eyes and steal the power from the people. So when we come back, if you want to call in and talk about it, we really be interested in your opinion, Atlantic City. We'd be if you're an elected official, if you're a former official, Jimmy Ching, my man, I love you. Call in. Let's talk about this economic apartheid initiative in Atlantic City, because we ain't going to let this happen. We'll be right back.
so many things that's held us down. But now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go. And where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together. We're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the ain't no stopping us now. We've got to do. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the I know. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got to do. We got it. I know you know someone that has a negative vibe. And if you're trying to make it, they only push you aside. They really don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going, they don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're gonna put our show together, gonna polish up our act. Wow. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good evening, Atlantic City in America. We're back with Derek Brock and Teddy Tashe Payton and Lisa Dan Hall on WEHA Gospel 88.7 FM, spreading the gospel one song at a time. And we're addressing this economic apartheid initiative referendum in Atlantic City and how people have been misled. They're signing this referendum without full disclosure of what it's really about. And share some of that what you were talking about, Derek. This is
Well, I just want to, I'm really glad that you brought that up, Jimmy. You called me today and said, come in and I asked you what we were going to be talking about. And this was one of the main topics when you mentioned the several topics you wanted to discuss. This one's the one that really touched me the most because this is a sense of urgency.
yes.
And it seems to me that the city and the residents aren't taking it as a sense of urgency.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it seems though that this will make it on the ballot, and then we'll find ourselves trying to catch up when we should already be challenging this strategy. And my position is, if the people feel that they have candidates that could do better than what we have, then why don't they use the same process to get
Right.
elected as everyone else?
Right.
If they are on the sideline, I read their comments, a lot of people, and they say, oh, the people in Atlantic City don't know how to run anything. And my position is, well, if you can run it, then you go out and you run and you get the position.
Right.
Now, I know that is a challenge because Atlantic City does tend to have a lock on who gets elected and who doesn't get elected. But that doesn't mean that you have to usurp the whole system and disenfranchise an entire community because you want to be in control. And that's, to me, is what the objective is to take the control, not to really change anything, but take the control from the people. Because although you may have a city manager as opposed to a mayor running the city, the opportunity for corruption is still the same.
Absolutely. If not more.
Right. So it's like they give you an impression that they're going to change something, but when there's
A dictatorship.
elected body,
Right.
they still have the same opportunities to do things that aren't right. So my position is, if they feel as though they can do it better, then go run and get instead of that guy from Resorts putting his money behind
Right, which is unethical.
this type of process.
Yes.
Put his money behind a candidate that he feels that it's good, going to be better.
Or
for the
put his
city.
money behind some kids in Atlantic City that need some scholarships.
Right.
Why doesn't he use that money to train the future leaders of Atlantic City?
Yes.
Why are you trying to do something that the law says casinos are not supposed to be putting money into political campaigns or political endeavors, and here you got a casino.
Well, Jimmy, unfortunately, they changed that law. So,
Oh, they changed it, so now casinos can pay off politicians?
well, I wouldn't say that they can pay them off, but I believe they changed that law several years ago, where they allowing people that hold key license to actually even be able to run for office.
Okay, well, if it's the law, that's one thing. But I'm going to tell you something. I've been to South Africa a number of times, from the beginning of the abolishment of apartheid to after Mandela was out of jail to when I was having a meeting with Gacha Buthelezi and the Zulu tribes. And I've seen the worst of apartheid. I've seen what apartheid is really about. And like you say, it's about controlling people, okay? Now, there are a lot of good qualified people in Atlantic City, in Atlantic County, including yourself and others, who know how to do things the right way.
They want to do things.
Who want to do things the right way. So you can't come in and do a blanket
Right,
referendum saying
exactly.
nobody in Atlantic City knows what they're doing.
Exactly right. That's
Okay?
what I got a problem with.
Because I can't say certain words in a gospel station, but that's baloney,
Yeah.
okay?
Yes, I agree
Now,
with you.
how are you gonna? What if I came into your community and I told you, now you're not in Atlantic City, you over in the Egg Harbor Township, and you in some of these other communities, Margate,
Ventnor,
something like that,
right.
and I come over your community. Well, we're gonna come in and we're gonna change your rules, and we don't want you to have a mayor no more because that's who you want to run your city. We're gonna tell you who's gonna run your city.
Right.
That's not American.
Right.
That's not democratic. That's not democracy. That's dictatorship. That's tyranny. That's all kind of things, that all the negative words you want to use, and it's wrong. Plus, the people in these unions, I've been hearing some horror stories about some of these folks in the unions. Not a lot.
Right.
But I've heard one is too much, okay? Because some of these people are fearful because
They lose their jobs.
They lose their job.
Right.
Okay, they don't want to say anything that somebody has hit them
Right.
or pushed them or bullied them
Or anything,
or
right.
threatened them. Okay? Some of them may not have citizenship. I don't know.
That's true.
Okay? So that's one issue. We got to work together, Atlantic City, to defeat this referendum.
I just want people, whoever's out there listening, to understand that there is a sense of urgency on this case, on this issue here, and I think I behoove everyone to reach out to your elected official,
Please.
in your ward and your mayor of Atlantic City, and express to them how furious you are with this change, and that you don't want this to happen if you're concerned, because what happens is they're going to come in and they're no longer going to be able to elect a mayor to govern our city, and they're going to be able to appoint who they feel is better for the city. And that's where, to me, where the corruption could come into play, because they get to decide and the city doesn't get to decide.
And how about we mobilize an anti-economic apartheid or referendum motion, and let's say Black History Month is February 2020. Let's get as many people activated in Atlantic City as we need to override this referendum.
But that's the approach. That's the approach that should be going on
That going on right now.
within our elected officials today. The
And it
ones
ain't.
that they're going to be ousting, because they're trying to oust these people that's sitting up there on that dais
Right.
as we speak.
Right.
They should already be organizing and putting that together to counter this, not work on it individually.
Right.
Or what? I don't understand it. Maybe,
I don't know how it even came to be. You know, if you are an elected official and you really love this city like you say you do, then you would be out here fighting this thing tooth and nail every
Exactly.
day.
That's my
you know
point.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You don't get this strong sense of
Jimmy,
urgency.
Yes.
Whitehead, if I may say something,
Please.
this is Lisa Diane.
Please.
Let's not forget the platform in which we're discussing this issue on. This is a community-based radio station where there are churches, pastors who have huge congregations who are listening to this broadcast. And so we need, these pastors who have been listening to WEHA, you need to educate your congregation about what's going on in their local community so that we are engaged.
Yes.
I got to just say, African American people are not engaged. They feel that the politics doesn't relate to them. They don't always understand it. So they just they're not involved. But you see what happens as a result of it.
Absolutely.
So, me being general sales manager at WEHA, all these community listeners, leaders who are listening to us, and these pastors of these faith-based communities, I'm saying to you, everybody who's hearing the sounds of our voices, educate your congregation and make them be involved in the voting process. 2020 is a big year, and it starts locally right where we're at. It's unbelievable to me that in 2019, they have people that are coming in trying to deny us the right to vote on who we feel should be our candidates because our ancestors died for the right to vote. You got to stay woke, people. What's going on that people are even allowing this to happen in the first place?
Absolutely.
So I commend you both for even addressing the issue, because you know what? There's probably so many people who's listening out there that have no clue that this is even going on.
That's
so
right.
please continue to talk about it and tell people who they can reach out to. Who do they need to call at City Hall to voice their opinions and get their voices to be heard? What do they need to do? Explain the process.
I think the Department of Justice is coming out with a new program in New Jersey to protect voters' voices, because they're very concerned about this other corrupt practice of vote by mail, getting people to take several people's ballots up to the county clerk's office who don't even live here. Like one of my friends, he told me that he has two sons who are grown, and they have vote by mail forms turned in for his two sons, and his sons don't even live here and have not even been here for over a year. So it's so that's just so unethical, and that's what breaks down the confidence of voters, that they don't feel like they have a right to vote. Well, what we need to do in 2020, like they say, clear vision, we have to help restore the confidence of the vote so that young people that are 18 years old and that are 20 years old, they feel the right to vote. And the mothers and the fathers, get your 18-year-old child engaged and say, come on, we're going to vote together this year, next year. Let's go out and do this as a family. Because let me tell you, I love the Bangladesh community. I love the Latino community. I love the Asian community. I love the black and white community of Atlantic City. But they have a lot more family, community organized frame of mind than we do. But we're going to change that, because Derek Brock, people like Derek Brock, are going to help turn this thing around for the community. I believe that, Derek.
Well, just so you know, briefly, I'll say this. The mayor of Atlantic City reached out to me last week and asked me to assist him with some business ventures or ideas he had. I'm not sure exactly what his plans are, but I told him I absolutely would assist him, and anything that I can do to ensure that we as African Americans can have economic stake in Atlantic City, I'd be more than happy to assist with that.
Well, God bless him, because you're the right kind of person to reach out to do these type of things. But also, and God bless the mayor, but when you do talk to him, ask him to do two things for me. Ask him, don't charge the people to come to a Christmas party this year. Do not charge the government employees to come to a Christmas party, because they can't. It's hard out here. And secondly, ask him to join this effort and lead this effort to fight this referendum every day. Ask him every morning he gets up, can the first thing he talk about when he gets up is, let's defeat this referendum. I think everybody in Atlantic City, we should make that our mantra. Let's defeat this economic apartheid referendum, and let's get collectively, like Bruce Weeks has this saying, collective community.
Well, we got about 1 year to get organized, and I think we should have a petition too.
I think we should. And you know what else we should have a petition for? There should be a woman or a Latino or a Bangladesh or an African American president of the union. They need to change the union and update the union. Let's have a woman be the president. You know how historical that would be? They have a woman, the president of the union. In Atlantic City, let's get a Bangladesh woman to be president of the union. Let's get a Latino woman. Let's call Celeste Fernandez and say, Celeste, let's get this Latino coalition rocking so we can really turn this city around in 2020 with some ethical accountability, compliance, and transparent leadership so that these young people feel like, you know what, I got a reason to vote. I got a reason to help them defeat this referendum.
But Jimmy, that's why when you ran for mayor last time, that's why I got behind you, man, because you have a certain energy and a drive that I think a good leader is supposed to have.
Yeah.
And you also have the connections and contacts that's necessary as well. And I absolutely had an opportunity to see it firsthand, so I can vouch for that. But
And you need to be a city councilman.
well, that's another story. But I just want to say, Jimmy, you know, you trying to throw me back under the bus. I'm trying to throw you under the bus. You want to throw me out?
I love you, man. I love you, brother. I love you.
You going to throw me back under? I'm trying to throw you, brother. Listen. Man, listen, just keep doing what you do, Jimmy. That's all I say, man.
Let's do it
Ever since I've met you, you've been a stand-up brother. And it's like when I met you, we never left each other.
Inshallah.
You know, it's like it's like we always been connected since the first time we ever met. And I never knew you, and I didn't even get introduced to you. I think I stumbled across you some kind of way, and we just connected.
God connected
from
us.
our communication, and from there we've been sticking together.
Yes, brother.
And like I said, I was convinced when I went to D.C. with you twice. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And to see the type of people that you know, to me, told me that this man is the real deal.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't meet many of them like you. Not in this area.
God is good.
You know, so I feel fortunate to meet you, brother.
I feel fortunate to meet you,
I wish the best for you because you stay on top of the right topics and you bring the right energy to what we need in this community. So I just want to say that.
Thank you, brother. You're so kind. You know, what made me fall in love, well, I was already in love with Atlantic City. Then when I met the people of Atlantic City over the last 20 years, I fell deeper in love. And when I met LaToya Dunstan's exclusive marching band, that's like my favorite thing in the whole world. That marching band over there, when you see those brothers and sisters on the drum, you know I'm a percussionist too from the EU days, Experience Unlimited. They are so focused on good discipline.
You know, I've been a sponsor of those.
Oh, did you sponsor them?
I've sponsored them over the years, a couple of times,
That's my favorite organization in the world.
I've written checks to them, and
I would love to get some of those kids on the radio one day and talk about the exclusive.
These are the things that me as a business person, that's my goal. That's why I said when I got into business, I want to be more of a pillar of my community because I know that check means a lot to those groups.
Yes.
You know, sometimes they don't get that.
Yes.
But to be able to be in a position to help those type of people that really going to do the right thing and help the children, you know, because that's a legacy in Atlantic City. That band they've been doing that for over 25 years, I think.
Has LaToya been running them from the beginning?
No, she hasn't been running from the beginning. She's been running for quite some time now, but this started years ago.
Really?
Yeah. This has been going on in Atlantic City. And they've been winning competition after competition.
Wow.
Yeah, they go statewide and.
Well, you know, when we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, if anybody wants to call in to the phone number 609-641-8870. Again, that's 609-641-8870. That's WEHA. Call us up if you have any questions for Derek Brock, or if you want to express your opinion about this economic apartheid referendum they trying to push down the people's throat. Or if you want to say anything about how unethical this vote by mail has been going on over the decades and how we're going to switch that up into 2022 because we're going to work with the federal government to change things. Go ahead and give us a little bit of McFadden and Whitehead, and we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere, y'all. God bless you.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting our show together. We're polishing up our act. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got to do. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got to do. We got it. I know you know someone that has a negative vibe. And if you're trying to make it, they only push you aside. They really don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going, they don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're gonna put our show together, gonna polish up our act. Wow. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. No, no, no. We're moving, we're grooving. Ain't no stopping us now. We're moving, yeah, yeah. We're grooving. Moving, 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 go. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know we got the groove. Ain't no stopping us now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Teddy Tashe, Lisa Diane, Atlantic City, America, Derek Brock. We had a caller call in, Derek, and he was one of our good Latino brothers. You know, all of us are brothers
Absolutely.
and sisters. One of my Latino brothers in Atlantic City, he wanted to ask if you could explain what is the actual referendum called, even though it's a facade name, and how many people does it take to make this referendum happen? And if you know, how can we reverse it? Share a little more detail with them about this referendum. What is it called, and what is it meant to do, and how they lying about it?
Well, Jimmy, you something else. Well, the referendum is called Atlantic City for Good Government, and from my understanding, what they do is they take the amount of people that voted in the last election, and they take a percentage of those people, and based on the percentage, they're allowed to get it on the referendum. And Atlantic City has very low voter turnout. I believe it's around 6,000 or 7,000 people that vote in most of major elections when it comes to our mayor elections and things like that, and even lower when it's for city council. And so if you take about 7,000 people and just say 20% of those people could get you on a referendum, you're talking about 140 people. 1,400 signatures.
Right,
So they will only need 1,400 signatures to get on the ballot for a referendum.
So the good information here is that, what is the name of this?
Atlantic City for Good Government.
Okay, now, so when anybody hears Atlantic City for Good Government, you know, first of all, to say no.
And you can Google it. Just Google it. You can. Well, like when on the way here, I wanted to brush up a little bit. I didn't get a chance to, but I wanted to brush up on some of the points to make here. And I Googled Atlantic City government change. I just put that in Google, and it came up. Atlantic City for Good Government. So it's very easy to search. Make yourself aware. Do your research. Do your homework. Don't just let people tell you what's going on. Do your homework. You know, and I think about in history of African American history when there was a time that they told us that we weren't able to legally read. They took away our right to read.
Yeah.
And I feel that today, their after effects are going on today from that, because by them taking away that right, it's taken us so many years to become readers again and want to even read, because it's inherent in us not to read, because we've been bred not to read.
Right.
And when you took away your ability to read, it takes away your ability to understand and grow knowledge. So this is what they're probably banking on.
Yes, sir.
The people not reading.
Not reading.
So we have to read, okay? Don't just take what I say or what Jimmy say for what is being told tonight.
Right.
Go on Google, do your research, read up about it, find out who's involved, and then that could lead you to better understanding of what's going on, why it's so important that this doesn't happen. So
in the future, whatever you see opposition to this referendum, we're always going to refer to it as an economic apartheid anti-referendum initiative, because basically that's what it's like. It's like some slave masters trying to come over and take over the city and treat us less than slaves and just be abusive of power. This is not about giving power to the people. This anti-economic apartheid referendum is about taking power from the people.
That's what it's right. That's right.
Okay, this is about taking more power from the people of Atlantic City, who already have been dragged over the rocks and raped enough in terms of...
They've given their blood, sweat, and tears.
Everything.
They've worked here. They lived here.
Everything.
They've done everything to be here, and then you bring outside people, because that's the same thing with our CRDA board.
Yeah, CREDA.
The same thing. They have that board, but most of those people are on that board. None of them live in Atlantic City. And if history is a lesson,
yes,
it's going to be the same way when they take over the city. They're going to have a lot of outside people come in, disenfranchise the people that've been there
gentrification.
Forever. Right, exactly. Disenfranchise those people that've been there forever, that work to try to move up the ranks, so to speak, in City Hall or whatever. Working in public works or government positions, and they bring their friends and families in. So that's all it really is. That's
and
all.
You know the
really
first ones to go in gentrification. You know the first communities to go in gentrification. Okay, you know the first. Is Pitney Village here anymore?
Oh, Pitney, you're right. Pitney was one of the first.
Okay, one of the first.
Was one of the first. Actually, I think it was Baccarat, and then Pitney went. But Pitney was definitely one of the first to go. Pitney
so
Village.
Atlantic City, we're going to need everybody of every community, black, white, Bangladesh, Latino, Asian, every nationality in Atlantic City that appreciates democracy, the democratic process, where you can go and vote for somebody that you know, you trust. You can vote to get rid of people you don't trust, you don't know anymore. You can do what you feel like doing as an American. But if they come in here with this Gestapo-style type of referendum where they're just going to be a dictator over the people, that's not good in any city. Washington, D.C., Virgin Islands, Atlantic City, South Carolina, North Carolina. And if everybody else can elect their mayor, why shouldn't we be able to elect our mayor?
And I'm glad. I want to piggyback on that, because that's exactly what I was thinking as you're saying that. There is a process. So if you, like people tell me, if you don't like who's running things, then you go run.
Right.
You run for office.
Well, we're getting ready to start up with our closure with the new American anthem, Sean Rock, Atlantic City. Collective Community Economic Development. Take it away, Sean. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you, Derek Brock, for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Dreams are big, non-stop around the clock to find your means to live. History throughout the timeline, casinos hit the skyline. A few comedy clubs got the tourists in love. Summertime beach bars make you feel like you a star. Windows crack down, AC Ave, the music blast. From the hip-hop shop to sneaker villa. Parties in the inlet, never forget they ain't a place filler. Every day is live from push carts to jitney rides. Boardwalk after dark, still peer with your peers. Soul food, the funnel cakes. Welcome to the Garden State, you gotta love this place. Heart of the tri-state, from the landmark to land shark, barbecues in the park.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
WEHA, Port Republic, Atlantic City, and now on FM